Hello and welcome to my presentation on topics 2.0, how to structure and teach them. So probably after today's presentations at the symposium, I should have called my presentation topics 4.0, but this approach is not that new one. So, and I've been using it and presenting at the conferences for a long time. So it's just the try to explain how we applied this approach to teaching online and how it is easier to work with topics if they are structured. So in today's presentation, we'll talk about the advantages and disadvantages in teaching in topics, of teaching in topics. Then we'll discuss how to develop a topic and language awareness as well. Then we'll try to dissect a topic that will be topic hobbies. And finally, we'll discuss how to use thinking skills for talking about the topic. So let's start. First of all, why topics are still popular. We know that teaching in topics gives some advantages. I'm sure none of you does it anymore, but as I'm teaching at the philology department, we still do topics, maybe not the topics, but I'm sure that many of you do topics in tutoring and in other spheres. So what are the advantages of topics? There are lots of topics are tangible. You can count the language that you are teaching. It's our tradition. We love teaching in topics. Topics are easy for teachers. And probably you have your variant that says why you still do topics. Though they have lots of advantages, there are lots of disadvantages as well. First of all, they don't coincide with our modern understanding of how we have to teach. And even if the student writes a topic themselves, they very often do not cover all the sub areas that we need to cover. And vocabulary is presented only in certain structures, and there is no recursive usage, meaning that we don't use topics, we don't use the structures again and again. So in topics, the structures are rigid, so we don't play with the language. This is an example of a topic, and I'm sure you can have lots of examples as well. As soon as you Google any kind of a topic, there are lots of them, and always there is a question, how will we teach this vocabulary? Yeah? So if there is certain vocabulary, probably there will be the structures and there will be the phrases or they call them longer phrases. They are wonderful means, they are wonderful tools, but when we teach online, they definitely don't work. And my suggestion is to try to follow a certain scheme, to try to follow a certain roadmap for creating a topic. Let's say here in the center, where we have a question mark, there is an object or a person, or even we can talk about abstract objects. Yeah? So it definitely consists of something. If we talk about hobbies, we can talk about different kinds of hobbies. Hobbies belong to a certain group. Yeah? So like leisure time activities. We can use the characteristics, and very often these characteristics are affected by climate and weather. And this is the object or an abstract thing. And also we have humans, us, who have their physiological safety needs. We can talk about our needs. We can talk about our preferences, character traits, habits, lifestyles, and the norms in the society that shape all this block. So this scheme was developed by uh, like me together with Professor Zhabotinsky, and so this scheme is a bit cognitive from the cognitive approach to teaching language and cognitive linguistics, but actually it helps to structure information better. So we don't need to teach all the parts of this map at once. Yeah? So we can break it into the chunks and teach some chunks at the elementary level, where we usually do with the nominative parts of the topic. Here we usually name. If we talk about hobbies, we name what hobbies we like, what kind of hobby it is, how often we do this hobby. So all this are elementary phrases. So then at the intermediate level, we already can shift our focus to human and talk about human needs, like what is the human need. If my need is a need to belonging, that probably I will choose the hobbies that are connected with teamwork or group work, but still it is good to sometimes refresh or rebrush this part. Even if we talk about not difficult, but more advanced topics, like why do people have hobbies, how hobbies help us relax, why are hobbies more popular now than they used to be. So even in this case, when we talk about rather difficult concepts, we can easily go back to this elementary part and ask our students to enumerate the hobbies, to talk about the hobbies and where the hobby, or just any object, not only hobbies. Yeah? So, and finally, this is my personal love, adding climate and history, but this is a really advanced area, because when we add this angle, this point of view, or from this angle, we can add more cause and effect sentences. For example, people in Norway love skiing because, obviously. Yeah? So, sometimes climate and geography and history are skipped by the teachers of English, but in my opinion, it is not only close to the clear approach, but it also develops student thinking. So here is an example of the map hobbies. This is an advanced map, and we see that here we have the categories, and these categories, they can be started vertically. This is one category, for example, types of people. They are the hobbyists, and these are the types of people that are possible, that you probably will meet when we talk about a hobby. We can talk about the reasons. We can talk about types of hobbies, indoor and outdoor. We can talk about the effort, which can be considerable, minimal, or no effort at all. We can talk about time, energy, and money, which are the requirements to practicing hobby. And we can talk about the effect of having a hobby, because any hobby develops hard skills, soft skills, which can be roughly divided into dealing with tasks and dealing with people. And the Choice of hobby may be also determined by your personality traits, and the hobby may develop certain personality traits. So let's dissect this map. That was the map that I've created for my students, and this is how we worked with it. So earlier, I knew that they already have the idea about hobbies. Yeah? So they know what the types of hobbies are, and they could say why people take these hobbies. For example, I like playing computer games to fill the time and to relieve stress. If again we go back to this big map, we will see that we can build the endless number of phrases using not the vertical approach but the horizontal one. For example, an enthusiast of gardening is keen into gardening, planting things, and so on. Why? To express himself or to learn something new. Gardening is an outdoor type of hobby which requires considerable effort in terms of time, energy, and money. It's time consuming, it's energy consuming, and sometimes it may be costly. However, it develops such skills S. So, but of course, when the students only start talking about hobbies, we don't we don't create such elaborate topics. Our speaking is rather simple, so we talk about types of hobbies and why people take them. Also, it's good to talk about what kind of hobby it is, or what type of hobby it is, indoor, outdoor, what kind it is, and what people do. Do they make something, or do they learn, or do they collect, and so. And later, we'll shift focus on a human, and that is what I did with my students at Kryvyi Rih State Pedagogical University when we discussed hobbies from different points of view, just from the different angles. And the angles were the following. We talked about the skills that hobbies develop. We talked about the hobbies that can turn into your future job. We talked about hobbies that are popular to certain cultures, that are peculiar to certain cultures. We were able to compare hobbies that are taken in a team, in a group, and hobbies that are taken individually. And we were also able to talk about different needs, different personality needs, mostly psychological and self-fulfillment needs that any hobby needs. And so, and yeah, we added climate and geography. So we talked about seasonal hobbies. We talked about different states and just states, I mean countries, and what hobbies could be taken there. And as it has already been mentioned at this symposium, we were able to use all stages of Bloom's taxonomy, because we started with listing and recognizing what the hobbies are. So then we compared the types of hobbies. Then we thought of the possible hobbies for people of different ages. We structured the plan for a person who is a particular type of a hobbyist, how to turn his hobby into his future job. So we were able to talk about people's hobbies and to evaluate them from the point of view of the development of hard skills and soft skills. And finally, the students were able to talk about the ideal hobby that they would like to have, and they connected this hobby with their future job, with stress, with their needs, and with the development of soft and hard skills. So this is how, now I'm summarizing, so this is how we can work with the topics when we teach online, such schemes, or we can call them maps. They really help our students to not only remember the information better, they structure the information well, they give us the opportunity to produce the innumerable number, like the great number of sentences, and also here we can develop their thinking skills through producing the information that they have already assembled. The question here always is one, like, do the students take part in creating the map? Yes, of course. As they are the university students, we knew the parts of the map, and through some research, they were able to put the parts of this topic into a structured whole, into a structured scheme, and that was the moment of collaboration and the moment of research. And then, basing on this research, we were able to work with this topic online. Of course, we also added lots of other resources. The students could have their blogs, they could write in chats. Of course, we used Quizlet, but this is the rough scheme and like my advice on how to work and how to structure topics online. So thank you again for your attention. If you have any questions, you can email me, and I hope ladies will share this presentation with you. Once again, I was delighted to see everyone, and thank you for today's symposium. Thank you, the organizers, and thank you for having me. Bye-bye.